Here's my nice messy table full of collage materials ready for you to play along with me. Okay, so here are some of the different ones I have done in the past. These are my favorite. Let me push these up. These are my favorite, but I want to show you the ones that I did on the live so far. So could you believe this is the 6th week? This is the 6th live that I've done. This was the first one I did 6 weeks ago, right? The 100-day project, it's well on its way. This is the second one, third, fourth. And then the one I did last week, I was out of town, so I didn't do a live, but this is the one I did with Maya Angelou. I love that one, so stately. And I love how the black and white contrasts with the bright colors. And so, as you can see, for those who are new, what we do, I'm working on these 4x4, 4 inches by 4 inches. You can work on anything you want. You can work in one of your journals, your art journals. You can work on a larger piece of paper. I cut it down small. I love square formats. And also, I cut it down small because this is a 100-day project where you do one project, one thing, you choose something, and you do it every day for 100 days. So, as well as that sounds, when the novelty is gone, if you are working too large or giving yourself too much of a challenge, it's more likely that you will give up. So that's why I try to keep it small. Last year, I went with 3x3 canvases, mini canvases, 3 inches by 3. This is 4x4. So these were some examples of what I did in the lives. Some of my other favorite ones. Look at this. And what I want to show you is like, I use different backgrounds. So it's all about background, middle ground, and foreground, and all about contrast. So they must contrast each other for them to stand up, especially if I'm using a busy background. Look at the contrast of the head opposed to the busy background, and seeing how colors match, how things go back and forth. And so what you want to do is pick something that you would like to use the background. Now you can paint your background. I'm collaging most of mine, all of it, because I have painted paper, but what I'm doing is all collaging. So here's my book paper. This one is from a print, a jelly print, and these big circles are from bubble wrap, large bubble wrap. Yeah, bubble wrap. I'm thinking myself. And so the imprint it made was that. Wasn't that beautiful? Also, in her dress here is bubble wrap too, the smaller one. But I'm showing the backgrounds. Now, 2 weeks ago, I did this one, and that was the first background where I pieced it together. So I stripped pieces of my collage paper and pieced it together. So look at my background in stripes, in strips. So it really is interesting. But when you do something like that, you have to be very careful that what you put on top must contrast. It can't just be lost with the busy background. Same with Miss Maya Angelou. The background is busy and brightly colored, but my focal point is on neutral colors, and so it contrasts. These I like because I used just earthy. This is craft paper. So craft paper in the back here, flat, and then this is brown tissue paper that I got those lovely textures. So think about what you might want to use for your background. This is a piece of painted paper. So it was painted. I think the paint was swiped. It was like paint scraping. And this was the white of the paper. And then I stuck that sheet down. Look at this one. The background actually was from my journals, my gratitude written journals. So you're seeing some writing there in the back. That was my background. And then I pieced the figure, then I pieced florals on top. This was from my journals as well, my journal writings. And that was painted on top. All right. So if you're ready to begin, so what we want you to do is think about, so I usually have a stack of things that I might use for my backgrounds. I have painted papers, my jelly prints. I have, oh, here's a bubble wrap, another one, small and large. I have pattern paper from my scrapbooking paper. This is origami paper. any bits and pieces of paper, magazine paper. Then I have a pile of models, figures from magazines that I want to use. And I know which one I'm going to use already because I don't want you sitting here. I want to respect your time sitting here while I'm deciding which one. These are kind of big for the format I have. I have this one I liked. I was going to use this, but I've decided on that one. Here is my 4x4. And then I have a bundle of florals because as you can see with these, I just went to town. I wanted to let them have elaborate headpieces of florals, right? But as you can see, not all of them had florals. This was from my painted papers. This was from a jelly print. And I loved it so much I did the dress and the headpiece. But most of them do have elaborate headpieces. This was a print from a ready-made stamp I had. And I printed it on black paper, and so I cut it out. Okay, so not all of them had the floral headpiece. This one with the floral, I put it on the eyes. So just let your imagination run wild. So I know I'm going to use this figure. Yes, I did pick out what florals I'm going to use, so you won't sit here. But you know, even though I have an idea of what I want to use, sometimes I do still switch it around. Now, I was thinking about piecing my my written papers, my gratitude journals. For those who don't know, I always talk about my gratitude lists and journals where I just write. And then now I've been doing gratitude art journals where I have a great time making art pieces and adding in gratitude quotes, sometimes journaling gratitude, but I would use it as a background to infuse. So I was thinking of snipping these up and sticking them down. But then I also had this, right? And this painted paper. And when I was piecing it around, I liked how this looked like she was in a pool of water, or, you know, just beautiful. And then I kind of like what this looked like a landscape. And this is paint that was just rolled. I rolled this paint out. But I wasn't intending for it to look like a landscape, but look at that. Okay, so I think I'm going to do that. Let's go right ahead with these. So if you're home and you're playing around, find something that you want to use for your background. So first of all, find a substrate. So whether it's your journal page or a piece of paper, right? Or canvas, but I'm doing collages. I'm doing everything on paper. And get this one. Then find a piece of paper or something that could be your background, right? Whatever you think might work. So piece it together. So you're going to have a background. You're going to have your figure. Now I'm doing figures. Models from magazines, figures from magazine, known figures, etc. You can do something else. Think about what your focal point might be. Maybe your focal point might be a tree. Maybe it will be, you know, a car, something else, or, you know, a big flower. But mine is focused on the figure. I wanted these figures almost like goddesses. They all have a different feel. They all have a different kind of energy and personality. And I want to take it from the level of just from a magazine, the model in a magazine, and transform them into actual characters. Wow, just, I didn't mean to put it here, but just that alone, I love it. I love that she's coming out of that. So this was my point, but guess what? This is the size. So I have to cut this down. I kind of don't want to cut it down, you know, and that's the fun of it. I guess I don't have to. But let me see. If I was to cut this down, I would have some of the red, the green. And, you know, I've been overlapping some of them, as you can see. Look at how much this overlapped. So maybe I might overlap some of her as well. Yeah. Or, you know, it's really up to you. we can do what we want. You could just use it like that and have that full piece. But I want to keep it within my format. But this would be nice in a journal. I would just put that right into a journal page. Okay, so let me start with my background. I really love this. Look at that. This looks like mountains, the ocean. We have the horizon line. Okay, so I'm taking my stick glue and I'm just going to glue down. Okay, I put my glue. And now I want to see, where do I want this? I have a really small area. And you also have not to be too precious with your work. I know I had to learn that a lot. And that's why I love doing these mini collages. I'm not as precious. I love doing my art journals. Very, very important, because then you don't take yourself as seriously. And then when it comes to doing the larger pieces, then you have a little more confidence. You know what you're doing. So I have a membership called the Grateful Palette. And in there, we work a lot on our art journals, gratitude art journals. But we also, the thing is, I'm teaching you different techniques, painting and mixed media techniques that you can then take to make paintings. But we start off in the journal. We start off, we can make papers or whatever the technique we learn, take it to the journal or make our own journals. We make a lot of the one-page journals, etc. But we make our own journals or use a ready-made journal. But what we're doing is that element of, the journal is a safe place, judge-free zone. So we feel we can explore more when that happens. And then it takes away the whole like, oh no, I'm making a painting. By the time you explore these things in your journal, you're so ready to transform them. Oh, look at this. Nice. But I wanted the red on top. Yes, the red. So the thing about these, it's all about changing your mind, moving things around, changing of the mind. I don't speak Italian, but in the Italian Renaissance, I learned this from one of my professors. And then when I started to teach, I would tell my students this, especially in drawing. When we did figure drawing, I taught figure drawing at a community college. And at the college I did my schooling at UMass, I remember telling students when we were drawing that the Italian Renaissance artists had a word that said pantamenti. And pantamenti means changing of the mind. Changing of the mind. So you're like, oh, should I put the figure here? Should I put the figure there? And so this is easy changing of the mind before you glue it down. In drawing, we were doing that with gesture drawings, very light, quick drawings, right? So you're not pressing down with your charcoal. You're really, really light with a pencil, a softer pencil, so that you could either erase or most of the times not erase, just change your lines, switch it, right? So you can change your mind. But if you went down with a hard, heavy line, what happens? You have to erase it, and then there's a hard line, and then you feel frustrated, you feel defeated. So always remember that you can change your mind. Allow yourself to change your mind before you make any major decisions. So I kind of like what that's happening there. I like the hand on the waist, but I'm not going to be able to get that much. And I will be overlapping some. I think I'll do that. Okay. So now I find where I'm going to do, and then I'm going to put down my glue. So I turn around, making sure. It's so funny when you get into the groove of this, but then you remember you're on camera. I'm thinking the camera's picking me up, but sometimes it's off. So a lot goes on, which is the interesting thing. Okay, I love that background. Wow. When you make painted papers or you're doing prints or whatever, and that was one I didn't really like. That's why I don't throw away anything. But look at how this became such a gorgeous background with the red. And I love that the way the figure is looking up. It's so positive, it's relaxing. I have a painting, my favorite painting ever. I did not sell it. I'm not selling it. It's not for sale. It's at home. But I sell my prints of it, cards of it. And I have it in like merch, like cups and bags and stuff. And it's called Basked. And if you go on my website, you would see it. And it's of a woman's face at an angle. Some of you who know my work would know it. So it's the profile looking out, and their colors. It's yellow and orange. So, it's abstract, semi-abstract. But it's a similar kind of thing where you're looking like you're basking in the sun. So I love that posture. So when I saw that in the magazine, I'm like, oh yeah. So I go through my old magazines and I just cut them out. I cut out the figures. I cut out anything interesting. Sometimes I just cut out colors. Might be just plain colors, a color in a furniture or something, and just cut it out. Or just an interesting picture. Yep, lovely. In the ones I've done before, if you notice, sometimes I leave an eye, sometimes I might cover up the entire thing. This one, I left one to just kind of give a feel to it. I usually don't always leave the two, but if I do, there's a lot that's changed up with the headpiece. This one, I covered all the eyes, but there was so much expression in the rest of the face. Usually, if it's a known figure, I would keep the face, as in celebrating who these are. Here, I kept that because it was a profile. This one, I covered up the eyes. So but the reason I'm doing all of this is because we are making it our own. They're no longer the figure in the magazine. They become something new. They become a new character. They become a new person. And they become yours. They become your character in your artwork, in your artwork story. I love that. Okay, good. Now I'm going to kind of make that her outfit, or she is rising up from the lilies, rising up from nature. She's part of nature. I love it. And then I'll see how much I'll cut off. I wonder how many of you are doing this with me. And are there any questions or chats? Oh, I saw somebody. Do you always use a glue stick for your collaging? Wondering about using Mod Podge. Mod Podge. I always mix that up. Yes, Mod Podge definitely works. I actually usually use acrylic medium, just because I have a big tub of it because I use it in my paintings. And it's archival. So if I'm selling work or giving it as a gift, I'll use that. Mod Podge is not archival, but that's fine for your art journals. For the work that we do here, is fine. So yes, I do like a wet glue. You can use school glue. I use, as I said, acrylic medium, matte medium, right? So I put it on with a brush. You can use Mod Podge. But the reason I'm not putting it on with a brush here is because it's small and I can easily just use the glue stick. And also, I'm using larger pieces of paper. So the background was 1 page. The figure was 1 page. The head piece, one. Now, when I do some of my collaging, I don't know if I have an example here. This is a mixed media collage with acrylic paint and paper collage. So what I did, I had the paper collage down first, and then I put the painting. I did negative space painting around, etc. So it's mixed media, but it's collage. So I put down the collage pieces first, but whenever I do my collage like this, piecing together many, I always use with a brush. Wet glue or the acrylic medium, Mod Podge, I use that to put down little pieces. But this is small and I'm all putting down separate pieces like this. I just use the glue stick. But of course you can put it on with the paintbrush. You put it down, you put the glue down first with your paintbrush, you put your paper on, and then give it another layer right on top, and it dries clear. So these are small. I think I'm gonna get the arm out of there. I did like it, but for this, I love that. It's kind of long though. I need to snip it a bit. Let's see. I don't mind it overlapped, but I think it's a little much. And I'll probably go in there and cut out a little more details. I like how these are coming off in their own shape. That negative space, love that. I feel like hair needs to cover up, so I could use some of that extra one. Yeah, why not? I think this is the one I had overlapping the most, but I just love how that is. Like, feel free to do what you want. Okay? I love that it's overlapping on the top and then it's overlapping on the bottom. I couldn't bear just cutting, because sometimes I would cut it straight off. Look at that. It's just not as dynamic. And I love that negative space, in, out, in, out. I would have cut maybe shorter, but because it has a floral here, I liked how that looked. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the big floral. And I left part of the eye. I love kind of like the horizon line. So what happens with the background? Your eyes are pushed, right? Your eyes are pushed behind. Look at the dimension. Background, middle ground, foreground. And I kind of say the figure's foreground, but it becomes kind of middle ground because we put her down, then we put the floral on top. We put this on top. So this is in front. So this is really your foreground, like bushes or whatever, the florals in front. She's a middle ground, and then the background is a red going into the blue, etc. Yeah, that was fun. I like that. So at this stage, I leave it like that, or I can go in with my paint pens. You know, I love to decorate. I really don't see, I'm really satisfied with what this looks like, and I don't feel I need to decorate. But those of you who've seen mine before always have to add in my dots, you know, being excessively decorative. Sometimes I have to hold myself back from being, but it works in these. And I'm thinking that, I don't think it really necessarily works in this one. Maybe, I don't know, later on I might tinker on it. But right now I'm really happy with what is happening there. Oh, she is definitely basking in the sun. That's what I do when I go home to Trinidad. For those who don't know, I'm from Trinidad. I live in Massachusetts. Yes, in the cold, but it's warming up now. Okay, I have another question here. Colleen, love your technique. My 100-day projects are in the palm of my hand, and they're 2 by 2. 2 by 2, nice, and yeah, good, manageable. And using things that fit in a little carrying case. Using your idea for my one for today. Oh, that's excellent. I love that. Anybody else doing the 100-day project? Oh, I'm not alone. Yay. That is wonderful. In the palm of my hand. That's a great hashtag and a great idea. I'd love to see. Okay, so that is my offering for the day.